is another story. Nothing exists. Yamaoka Tsu, as a young student of Zen, was visiting one master after the other. Once he went to Dokkan Shokoku, and in order to show his progress, he said, "The mind, Buddha, and all living creatures do not exist. The true nature of the phenomena is the void. There is no realization, there is no illusion, there is no wise man, there is no mediocrity. There is no giving, and there is nothing to receive." The one who smoked quietly did not say anything. Suddenly he hit Yamaoka very hard with his bamboo pipe. This incident made the young man very angry. Then Dokwan asked him, "If nothing exists, then where this anger comes from?" So, very interesting too story. There are many people nowadays that they think that enlightenment is something very easy, something that we already have, already possess. There's nothing to do with it, and we are just empty. We're already there, already enlightened, and this is it. But this is not quite the case, because if this was the case, then even the great masters like the Dalai Lama would be born, and they would not need teachers to teach them things or to make them remember the things. They were born like this, and they would be enlightened all the time. But it is quite interesting that we are not already there. Like we said, the key of soul, it's something that helps us to have the Zen of every moment. But we are not constantly there. We must make conscious efforts, as Master Mitchell says. We must make conscious efforts in order to achieve enlightenment, and in order to be able to achieve the consciousness. So many people think that they don't need to work with ego, they just forget it. But the most important thing is the opposite. It's to work extensively with the ego in order to eliminate it, and then to make room for the essence to be able to express. So in order to reach emptiness, first we have to work with ego. Otherwise, we do not empty. There's no room to bring the new, as we said. We have to empty. Something in us must die in order for something new to be born again. So it's quite interesting that something we might think we are enlightened, and something very bad may happen to us, and then we see that we cannot stay enlightened for long enough, much long. So in order to be someone to be enlightened, needs to have to do conscious efforts every day, every minute, for all of his during his life, and then we can say we can achieve something. So the other story, it says, "No work, no food." Hyakuyo, the Chinese master of Zen, used to work with his students even at his 80s, looking after the gardens, cleaning the ground, and pruning the trees. By seeing their old master working so hard, his students felt sorry for him. But they knew that he wouldn't listen to their advice and stop. So one day they hid his tools. That day the master did not eat, nor the next one. Maybe he got angry because we hid his tools, the students thought. We'd better put them in their place again. That day the master worked and ate just like before. At night he said to his students, "No work, no food." This is the mentality of a true master. First of all, the humility that I'm not the most important person in this world, and I don't have to work for nothing, because we see that even this master, the Chinese Zen master, Hyakuyo, he thought that there's always something to learn. I have to work for knowledge. We have to work with ourselves for gnosis, and something that it never stops. We never stop to learn. So it's also in the physical plane, because as Master Samael says in the book of Major Mysteries, many students, says Master Samael Onver, many students think that they don't have to work anymore when they get to the esoteric studies, the physical work, the job that all of us, most of us have, and they quit it, and they just think that they can go to a mountain and maybe do nothing and just meditating. But the case is not that. Work is a very important aspect. As Gurdjieff has said, I love him who loves to work. And all the masters have done many jobs during their lives. They have worked very much, because as Hermes Trismegisto said, as below, so above. So we cannot say that we are sitting all day doing nothing, or maybe meditating, and we can achieve something spiritually. No, this is not the fourth way. The fourth way is to be able to live in this plane, to be able to live like every other person, but with an esoteric seeing things from the esoteric prism, seeing things differently. It's not giving up our jobs and being like monks or yogis going to the mountains. It's not like this. And the most important thing is that we can see that most of the masters have worked and keep working. They need, like this master, he said, no work, no food. If I have not worked for my daily bread, I don't want to eat. It's quite interesting type of mentality, quite interesting type of thinking, kind of thinking, that we have to work hard, and the esoteric work, it's not something easy, and it's something that we have to work in the esoteric plane and with ourselves psychologically, but it also has to do with doing external things, to work also externally, because it can help us. Not to say that we can be being workaholic or having stress and anxiety from work is something normal. No, it's not. But we cannot abandon our works, in order to focus on our esoteric path. This is not the case too, because there we have to eat, we have to buy clothes because they get old. We have to be able to rent maybe a small house to live, and to rent a place to give courses for gnosis. This needs money. So we are not saying that we are workaholics, but it's also important to have a job, and it's also important, as Master Samael says, for a man to be able to give to his family through his work. And there's always work to do if we want to, because otherwise we get lazy. We get lazy with our external life, and we get lazy in our internal life. So we need to be stable, and we need to have to be able to work the internal type of work, but not to leave everything external and doing nothing all day. This is like I don't know, maybe we could say this is like two parts of a philosophy. So it's very interesting what we are learning from this, that spiritual work needs labor, and it's something that it's not being given. It's not something that it is being given to us very easily. It's hard work. Hard work with ourselves, and to not leave it, to be able to continue with our purpose in life, with this purpose we have in life. So there are also three types, we can say, the last story, the three types of students, quite interesting too. A master of Zen, whose name was Getten, and lived in the last part of Tokugawa era, used to say, there are three types of students: those who give Zen to others, those who clean the altars, and those who constitute the rice bags and the cloth hangers. Gazan expressed the same idea when he was studying with his master Tekisui, who was very strict. Sometimes he also hit him. Other students did not accept this kind of teaching and left. Gazan stayed, saying, a mediocre student is using the influence of the master. A good student admires the kindness of the master. An excellent student strengthens under the discipline of the master. Very interesting, our last story too. There are some keywords here that Gazan uses. The first one, when he says about the mediocre student, it's the word using and influence. The second one, it's admires and kindness, and the third one, it's strengthens and discipline. Because as we said in the previous story, we have to be disciplined in our esoteric work, and if we don't we don't rely on a master, then we don't have to there's no meaning of following a master if we don't trust him. If we don't trust a master, we have one. There's no point. So it's whether we trust the master and we become disciplined with him, and we become stronger psychologically day by day, or we don't. We just sit there and use him or admire him and doing nothing. There's no point. Because all masters help students through the disciplines they put to them, and it is very interesting, this matter, because if, as we said, and this is the philosophy of these Asian stories, that in conclusion, in order to conclude here, that as we said many times, if we think we know everything, there is no point. There is no point. If we know everything, okay, we stop there where we are. But if we think, if we something inside us tell us that there are always new things to achieve internally, always new things to learn, then it's a very great opportunity to always keep learning and always thinking that we don't know. So we are coming to an end of this lecture. Thank you very much.